What's up guys, welcome back. This is Anime Crossover. You'll be watching What If Naruto Was Almost Killed by Goku Part 1. Now, let's begin. Chapter 1. Naruto was panting, leaning against the cave wall with his hands clutching his stomach tightly. Even though it didn't do much since a big hole was punched through him, leaving him paralyzed from the waist down, it did help ease the pain just a bit. Piccolo really knows how to throw a punch. Honestly, if I weren't a Saiyan, I'd be in big trouble. Gasped Naruto as he whispered with some effort. The new soul in Reddit's had taken over him a while ago, his dead body, to be exact. This happened right after Piccolo punched Raditz through, thanks to the combined strength of Goku and Gohan. Even though Piccolo's energy beam didn't strike his heart or lungs, it sure did blast a hole right through him. Raditz ended up dying pretty quickly after that because the shockwave just stopped his heart. It's all good. Saiyans have been through tougher stuff and come out okay. Remember when Vegeta took a hit on Namek and managed to hang in there for a while? And Goku, he's faced way worse and came through just fine. He thought about Naruto, feeling grateful that his soul had taken over and restarted this body's heart. His lungs were mostly okay too, and the high energy wave had burned his wounds closed. Well, at least he wasn't bleeding out, so he was safe for a bit. Thankfully, the Z warriors had left his body alone and gave him a simple burial. Getting out of that pit and cleaning the dirt out of his big wound was quite the task. I'm really craving some food right now. You know, without any healing magic or senzu beans, this is the fastest way for a Saiyan. Remember how Goku got wrecked in his fight against Piccolo? But he was all good after he had a meal. Why not give it a try? It hurts to talk, Naruto whispered, pushing through the pain. He needed to stay focused. He couldn't feel anything below his chest, and the dark cave around him was dusty and dry. Most guys in his shoes would have thrown in the towel by now, but not Naruto. Whether it's the Saiyan pride in this body or the determination of the new soul, he just keeps pushing forward. He figured he'd head outside to look for some food. It was nighttime, so as long as he kept quiet, no one should notice him. They weren't really on the hunt for him anyway. The original Raditz wasn't even sensed until he got close to Goku. I can't just walk. I need to soar. Luckily, I've got plenty of ki and a power level of 1300, even before I got roasted. Naruto said as he slowly floated up, his left hand pressed against his abdomen while his right hand dangled aimlessly by his side, his figure drifting away. He was just kind of floating there, standing upright since he couldn't lie flat anymore. With all of Reditz's memories in his head, using a basic flight technique like this felt like second nature to him. I've got to track down some sort of giant beast. The more meat I can get, the quicker I'll get the nutrients I need to heal up. Thought Naruto as he drifted toward a nearby forest, then continued to rise until he found a perfect spot above the treetops. He pressed his right hand against the device on his ear and began scanning the forest. His spare scouter was beeping away, and before long, it picked up a power level of 8. Beep, 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 8. Naruto thought that couldn't possibly be a human, so it had to be some kind of prehistoric beast. Given the jungle around here, that seemed like the most likely option. The old Reddits had glanced around before picking this spot for the fight, and that made his decision come a lot faster. So, it's a herbivore dinosaur, right? And it's like 6 times bigger than me. I mean, this should be fine. Whispered Naruto as he floated up slowly, raising his finger. He really didn't want to fire a ki blast since that would make a ton of noise, and being paralyzed wasn't exactly the best time for that. So, he thought he'd give it a shot and try to fire a thin beam attack. It wasn't anything too complicated. Piccolo had one, Frieza had one, Tien had one, Dao Pai Pai had one, Master Shin had one, and honestly, he could keep listing them. So, the main thing is that for him as a Saiyan, just shooting his energy in a beam wasn't really that tough. The tricky part was all the extra effects happening behind him. But I really don't need anything extra, you know. This works perfectly for a power level 8. Naruto said as he gathered his energy on his pointer finger. Pissed, Naruto found himself in a tough spot with a silent attack and a successful assassination. He would have liked to take his hunt somewhere else, but he just didn't have that option right now. He could hardly budge with his ki working for him. Carrying a body 6 times his size was just not something he could even think about doing right now. Luckily, the beast was by itself, so he didn't have to worry about a whole pack. His scouter confirmed that the area was clear, so he quickly landed. Alright, let's wrap this up. I might not have fire, but I've got some ki. A little bit should do the trick for a barbecue, right? Naruto said. His body was definitely telling him it was time to eat. Even though his stomach felt like it had been blown off, he couldn't really eat like he used to. His food pipe was gone. Naruto cracked his neck, got himself all fired up, and began cleaning his catch with just his hands. He got rid of anything that might draw in predators, keeping only what he could eat. Then, he used a gentle, steady energy attack to cook his meal. SSSSSSH. Asterisk. After an hour-long session, a nice aroma began to fill the air while Naruto leaned against a tree, cooking from a distance. This helped him get a better handle on energy usage. Even though he had all those first-person memories, it was still great to try things out for himself. Noticing that his food was nearly ready, Naruto floated over and began to pull apart the tender meat. Chew. He took his time, chewed it well, and then spat the food out into his hands. Since he just couldn't eat like everyone else, he had to go with a more intense version of the bird technique. He took the food and reached towards his stomach hole, only to discover the burnt and sealed part of his stomach opening. Alright, here we go. Oof, that stings. Naruto said as he ripped open his cauterized wound and took care of what his food pipe was meant to handle. He took a moment to pause and gently placed his hand on his stomach. It was definitely doing its job well. He could sense it, at least the part that was still active, springing to life. He knew this because he was a Saiyan. His stomach could digest food super quickly. Saiyans could chow down on a mountain of food and not even have a bulging tummy. That's just how it worked. Alright, I think I can pull through this. Actually, I know I will make it, no question. Naruto laughed as he finally relaxed. He had been pretty tense for a while now. Getting a big old hole punched through his body definitely wasn't fun. If this didn't work, he might have to go for his ozaru form and attempt to rob Korin Tower. But honestly, he wasn't even sure he could pull that off, especially with how paralyzed he felt right now. Alright, let's dig in. As long as I don't kick the bucket, I should be good. Saiyans are way too stubborn for me to go down now, right? This is how we score that Zenkai boost, after all. Being in a near-death state isn't exactly a walk in the park, but for Saiyans, it's just part of the deal. This state can mean anything from a hole in your chest to most of your organs being vaporized. Even in states like that, including those close to death, Saiyans can still get a power boost. As long as they find a way to survive, they'll eventually heal and come back even stronger than before. This is what really earned them the nickname of a warrior race, their knack for adapting to any environment. A Saiyan just wouldn't quit until they were out for the count. And Naruto. He's very much alive and has no plans of going down anytime soon. Alright, I've got to whip up a shelter for myself. That cave I was in is way too close to the battlefield, definitely not the best spot if someone decides to come looking around. Naruto had started to sketch out some initial plans for his comeback. All he needed was a bit of time and a safe space, and he had a solid idea of how to secure plenty of both. Throughout next month, Naruto basically just did 2 things, eat and sleep. His Saiyan biology kicked in a bit ago, and now his body was starting to heal itself. After a whole month of non-stop recovery, his bones gradually grew back, his nerves reconnected, and his organs reformed. Finally, that giant hole in his abdomen was gone. Yeah, I don't feel anything at all. I was doing just fine a week ago, but I thought I'd take it easy just in case. Turns out, that's not needed anymore because I'm healed now. I found this awesome cave behind a waterfall to live in, Naruto said as he strolled over to the fireplace. So, found, might be a bit of a stretch. He actually blasted out a cave area behind a waterfall, which sounds way cooler anyway. But hey, the important thing is, He's here now and he's sticking around. Bending down, Naruto glanced at the fireplace where his armor was resting. The newly designed piece was still warm to the touch. Even though I managed to heal from a tough wound, my armor was still in rough shape. Luckily, I was able to reforge it with a bit of heat treatment and a keyblade cut, and it turned out pretty well. Naruto's armor was the older version, and it had quite a few extra bits that weren't really needed, like the plating on his thighs and those big shoulder pads. The armor material was actually a stretchable rubber-like substance that could melt, but it was way stronger than that. Still, extreme heat could definitely reshape it. And reforge he did. Naruto started by fixing the hole in the stomach area, then moved on to create a sleeker, better version of the armor. I took inspiration from the armor Broly wears in the new DBS movie. I just went with a different color since I can't really change the original material's color. Said Naruto, but that wasn't the only thing that was different about what he was wearing. He looked just like Broly, with the armor design, the black bodysuit, and that royal-looking fur hanging from his waist. So, you know how Naruto's outfit draws from Broly's style. Well, it's not just about looking cool for him. Nope, it was created because this was the design that the Frieza army came up with after years of experimentation in the future. I've found the perfect design for someone my size. At 6'3" with a solid frame, it's great that I can actually cover my whole body in this stretchable clothing. Neither Goku nor Vegeta got this huge. His only reference was basic Broly, so he proceeded with it, as to how he transformed his little undies into a full-length sleeveless bodysuit. That was also a question of materials. This was the same sort of material as his armor, but thinner. That meant it could expand to huge sizes anytime a Saiyan went ozaru, so Naruto took advantage of it and created a full-coverage bodysuit. Okay, it isn't that hot to the touch anymore, nearly warm. It is time to dress. Naruto's hands went into the fire pit and he brought out the armor, giving it one more examination for any faults and finding none. Naruto put it over his head and slid his arms inside it. The new armor extended to accommodate his massive arms, then expanded again when it covered his powerful chest. Snap! It snapped back into place, snugly covering his body and providing complete protection. Naruto suddenly looked precisely like DBS Broly, or as if he had Super Saiyan 3 hair. But Naruto was a man of enormous proportions. It wasn't just his height, but also his very muscular frame, and the Super Saiyan 3 hair suited him quite well, rather than being out of place. I want to see how I look now. This took a lot of effort. Naruto said this as he went out the mouth of his cave, unconcerned by the great pressure of the water smashing on him. Walking through the water, he moved away from the waterfall to a less disturbed area. Bending down, he examined his outfit. I have brown instead of green, and black instead of purple, otherwise everything is indeed as I remember it. This brown fur is also pretty good to keep warm in the cold. Naruto said this as he crouched down and scrubbed his face before taking a big breath and flying out of the water, using his ki to warm himself up. Evaporating the water adhered to his body, a clever little trick he learned while grilling with his friends. I want to see what I can recover from my starship. I had only taken out my backup scouter at the time, and Gohan shredded it. However, certain things will undoubtedly stay. After all, it was a starship that traveled through deep space on a daily basis. It wasn't going to be annihilated just because Gohan rammed out of the way. And he had two things in there that he was confident would withstand the onslaught. Naruto has 2 Saibaman seeds stored in there. He just never employed them. They are a vicious lot who are as powerful as him at 1300. He was barely a match for one of them without using ozaru. But even if the original Naruto wasn't a match for these folks, he was. His recent experience gave him a Zenkai boost. He was still weak enough to grab them, and it pushed him from a power level of 1300 to a power level of 1500, a complete 200 gain all at once. This may not sound like much to those accustomed to higher power levels, but it was equivalent to 2 Master Roshi combined. Goku and Naruto were low-class fighters who had to struggle for every ounce of power they obtained. But that's fine, I will fight if I need to. My potential is unlimited, I am a Saiyan. To Naruto, this was a good enough start. He can go right now and smash every fighter on the planet, even without becoming Ozaru. It was all about perspective. Even if he lets Piccolo's special beam shoot him again, he will survive without dying this time. That is how much of a difference this power increase has made in his current predicament. It had only been a month after his loss, and most of the Z warriors hadn't grown strong enough to confront even the normal him. After a year of training, his current self would clean the floor with them all. Whoosh! Naruto soared without an aura flame surrounding him, and he flew at his regular pace. He was not in any rush. The approaching Saiyans were not even his problem to deal with. If the Z warriors lose, he will just follow Vegeta and depart. Taking it leisurely, Naruto continued flying, and soon he came to his spaceship remnants, which were just as he recalled them, unaffected by anybody. It's a good thing it was destroyed, or Bulma would have understood what these debris were and taken it away for research. Let's see, where is it? Naruto spoke as he crouched down and began searching the metal bits. Brush, clink. After moving some more undamaged bits about, Naruto discovered the seeds, which were hidden in the ground with 2 green beans. The 2 Saibaman seeds were safe and sound. Nice, I got 2 more helpers. Naruto said that he did not have the exact chemical solution to activate them, but water should suffice. Naruto stared at the debris and decided to take it away. Telekinesis is definitely possible with Ki. Chiaotzu can do it, Frieza can do it, Vegeta did it at Namek, Goku can do it as well, but sadly I can't do it yet, so old-fashioned way it is. Naruto smiled as he used his hands to collect the debris in one location, then soared up for a better look, where he saw more dispersed far away. After gathering all of them, he utilized a tiny beam of Ki to form a fragment of mountain granite into a bowl. Putting everything in one spot, he flew back, vaporizing the remaining rock from which the bowl form was carved, merely to eliminate traces. Alright, time to see if I can fix this. Shouldn't be too hard. Even if I can't, there is Goku's and nameless Namekian spaceship as a reference. I should be able to do something. Naruto whispered that his initial wish after recovering was not vengeance or anything else, but rather to leave the planet. He was still a horrible man in everyone's views. These guys are very trustworthy, and he could easily infiltrate their organization. After all, he was Goku's brother. But he'd rather go to Mars. Saiyans can survive in the worst conditions. As a toddler, Broly survived for years on Vampa, a planet thought to be entirely hostile. As long as there was enough breathable oxygen in the air, Saiyans were okay. Thus Naruto would want to leave Earth until he was confident enough to defeat anyone who came along in the current era. Naruto soared slowly back to his headquarters of operations, the Waterfall Cave Mansion. Naruto landed on the stony floor, leaving a cloud of dust behind him on his return. Naruto mumbled as he glanced at the waterfall while holding the massive stone bowl in his hands. I didn't think this through. He was now in a pickle. He needed to pass past the water pool and cascade to reach his cave. But he had a lot of electronics in his hands, including exposed circuit boards and unidentifiable pieces. Going below a waterfall with a bowl containing everything was a death sentence for the components. What a hassle. Naruto scratched his head. If he possessed telekinesis, it wouldn't matter. He can't get in unless he wants to make another entry to his cave, which he doesn't want to do since he prefers to keep it concealed behind the waterfall. One entrance is much simpler to defend than 2. Well, I am sure there is a better way, but let's just go the old-fashioned Saiyan way. Naruto fired up an energy wave while holding the stone bowl in one hand. He looked at the river above, producing the waterfall, making careful to limit it to the bare minimum he deemed necessary. Quote, purple energy burst forth, as the peaceful river water transformed from chilly liquid to scorching steam in a split second. Boosh! A massive amount of steam was emitted, covering the entire region in fog. The waterfall, which had flowed gently for millennia, was disrupted due to one creature's whims. Let's go. This cascade was now nothing more than a steamy curtain for a few seconds as gallons of water evaporated, and Naruto took advantage of this brief moment to hurry into his cave. Splash! Asterisk. And then, in an instant, additional river water poured in from behind, recreating the waterfall. Safe. Wasn't that big of an energy blimp either. Hey, they can't sense all of my energy, much less such a little blimp. This reminds me, I need to learn how to hide my energy and sense it for that matter. Our Naruto shook his head, and his spiky mane was free of any remaining wetness. Boom. Naruto sat back down after placing the spacecraft components down, but he did not immediately begin working on his spaceship. Sliding the bowl to a corner of his cave palace, he removed 2 Saibaman seeds from his spandex, which he had concealed between his armor and his body. Saibamen, they range from anywhere between 10 to 1300, depending on the soil and nutrition they can absorb when hatching. Naruto related what he knew about the Saibaman. The original Reddits had spent his whole life on missions, so he had a lot of knowledge about how to live in space. And Saibaman was a weapon commonly employed by the Frieza army, therefore knowing about it was fairly important. Naruto paused for a while, looking at the 2 similar beans in his palm, before pulling out his leather pouch carrying water. Nappa had planted you guys in a literal barren mountainous land, and you still achieved 1200, I wonder if you can go all the way up to 1300 here. Naruto spoke to the bean as if it could hear him, then dug a hole near where he regularly buried non-edible bits. This should make an excellent fertilizer for you. Okay, get ready for a drink. Naruto smiled gently as he placed a little amount of his ki in the seed, a necessary step to ensure that the hatching Saibaman listened to him. Spread. Then he gently covered the seed with earth before opening the leather pouch. Drip, drip. Naruto began to gently drop water. Saibamen were a species that originated on a dry desert planet, thus too much water may kill them instead. Drip. When the 4th drop of fresh water fell, Naruto noticed the mud begin to stir, and within a few seconds, a large cabbage gently emerged from the dirt. However, the cabbage was not actually a cabbage, it was, in fact, a head. Boosh. The mud was displaced as a Saibaman emerged, a broad grin adorning his face. Naruto nodded while examining the specimen with attention, confirming that this one appears to be healthy. Let us assess your current power level. Beep. 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 1300. Congratulations on achieving the maximum theoretical value that your species can attain. Well done. Naruto stated, while the Saibaman responded with grins and peculiar sounds. I am feeling quite frustrated. Naruto shook his head, a wry smile crossing his face. What is my purpose here? You are merely a plant, a basic defense mechanism. Regardless of your appearance, you lack a memory module and possess only innate instincts to safeguard your host plant. As Naruto observed, the creature regarded him for a moment longer before its instincts kicked in, prompting it to navigate the cave area in search of any potential threats to Naruto. This situation arose because Saibamen were not originally intended to inhabit this location, resulting in their presence being outside of their natural living environment. Observe the outcome when a creature is introduced to a new environment, particularly in the context of an entirely different planet. Naruto stated as he rose from his seat, noting that he had half an hour remaining until his energy within the Saibaman began to diminish, at which point the Saibaman would perceive him as an adversary and initiate an attack. Let's proceed, Cabbage Head. No, that's too lengthy, I'll refer to you as Kaba. Alright, Kaba, let's see what you can accomplish. Kaba regarded Naruto with his crimson eyes, accompanied by a fierce smile. Naruto did not assign blame, as it functioned as intended. Saibamen were designed to be activated by their parent trees in the presence of nearby predators. Indeed, Saibamen served as a defensive mechanism within a specific type of carnivorous plant. These entities were biological constructs designed based on the men of the species that the plant consumed, quite fascinating. It's perfectly fine, Kaba. There's no need for concern. Your understanding is limited to instincts rather than memories, so all is forgiven. Naruto gently patted Kaba's head, offering a reassuring gesture, even though it wasn't necessary, but he felt inclined to do so. Saibamen can be regarded as a form of biological automation, with the parent plant serving as their origin. They function similarly to soldier ants, dedicated to safeguarding their leader. Their instinct is wholly defined by this characteristic, it reflects the nature of their life form. Should they perceive any threat to their parent plant, they will engage in a fight to the death. Should they be unable to engage in direct combat, they may resort to covert tactics, sacrificing themselves in an effort to eliminate the opponent. The Frieza army is a formidable group, adept at leveraging this creature for their own purposes. Naruto reflected as he emerged from the cave alongside Kaba. He gestured towards the water curtain and addressed Kaba. "Engage that target. It is a threat. I am feeling quite overwhelmed." The Saibaman shouted fiercely, having recognized a threat identified by its parent, and its duty was now underway. "Ah, attention. Splash, splish." The Saibaman employed its three-fingered claws to repeatedly attempt to cut through the water curtain, but due to the nature of water, these efforts were ultimately unsuccessful. "I am feeling quite overwhelmed." The Saibaman observed the formidable opponent ahead, exhibiting signs of fear, a response driven by instinct rather than genuine emotion. The expressions on its face were also simulated, designed to mislead the attacking foe into believing that the Saibaman guard was experiencing fear. Naruto understood that if the enemy truly underestimated them or believed them to be defeated, they would soon face an unpleasant revelation. Yamcha could confirm that. "However, I believe I have observed sufficient evidence. He is not employing energy attacks. The only technique the Saibamen are familiar with is utilizing ki to self-destruct." "Understood, Naruto." That provided sufficient information regarding his strength. Now, it is imperative to conduct additional tests promptly, before the ki within the Saibaman is depleted. It begins to recognize that Naruto is, in fact, not its parent plant. Naruto was not inclined to engage in a confrontation with Cabbage Head at this moment. It was now nighttime, and Naruto had spent the entire day assessing the combat capabilities of both Saibamen. He conducted several experiments on their muscle and bone structure, and it appears that they are plant-like life forms for a reason. They possess a diminished form of Piccolo's regeneration. Specifically, even if they sustain injuries, as long as they remain alive and can burrow into the ground with sufficient water and nutrients, they emerge once again in optimal condition, a remarkable feat. Water and sunlight suffice for their survival and rejuvenation. Let out aside, Naruto had his own advantages as a Saiyan, yet he was contemplating departing from Earth in favor of Mars, where he would still need to find a way to obtain food. Indeed, the environment is not one for frivolity. The lifestyle these individuals pursue is not suited for the faint of heart. Naruto recalled the numerous adventures undertaken by the old Reddits and the various species he was tasked with eliminating. Reddits was the offspring of Jin and Bardock, both recognized for their affectionate disposition in contrast to other Saiyans. As their son, he was not inherently malevolent. Rather, circumstances had compelled Reddits to adopt a more resilient demeanor. He understood himself well and was fully aware of the genuine emotions that original Reddits experienced. "You have made commendable efforts to ensure your survival, and I acknowledge your achievements. However, it is imperative for me to elevate my performance, as failure to do so may result in my own downfall." With a clearer understanding of his situation through reflection, Naruto rose, recognizing the necessity to practice. There are numerous methods available for a Saiyan to enhance their strength. The most apparent option is Zenkai. However, I am currently unable to pursue that route as I do not have a healer available. Engaging in rest and healing would consume more time than is ideal. Exiting the waterfall curtain, the chilly night air sent a shiver down his spine, exacerbated by his drenched state. The second attempt involves trying to achieve Super Saiyan status. I reviewed the tingling back method, but it yielded no results whatsoever. Perhaps I simply lack sufficient S cells. Naruto shrugged, stating that it was a legitimate method. While it may sound unorthodox, it was worth the attempt. I could potentially achieve the status of a Super Saiyan god at this moment. However, I lack the presence of numerous benevolent Super Saiyans to assist me. Unfortunately, this is not an ideal situation for me. Naruto chuckled, yet he remained undeterred, as he had one final strategy prepared. The final method he had at his disposal that could elevate him to extraordinary levels of strength. The Ozaru transformation, specifically in the context of Broly's application, demonstrates a significant shift in power dynamics. He transitioned from facing challenges against Super Saiyan Vegeta in his base form to overpowering Super Saiyan Blue Goku with this transformation. This situation was not as unreasonable as it may initially appear, nor was it particularly unique to him as the renowned Saiyan. This technique functions similarly to the process of transforming into a Super Saiyan God. Vegeta and Goku ascended to divine status by compressing their energy multiple times, specifically 7 times. However, Broly repeated the same action 10 times. Could you please elaborate on the methods he employed to accomplish this? When a Saiyan transforms into Ozaru, 2 significant events occur. One of their sizes increases to gigantic proportions. Their energy is multiplied by 10 times. If they lack a tail yet have mastered the ability to trigger the Ozaru state independently, the body may not expand significantly. However, the tenfold boost will still occur, albeit confined within the smaller physique. With a decisive snap of his fingers, Naruto reached a conclusion. As a mortal, I can achieve what the God ceremony accomplishes through compression. I simply need to learn how to trigger my Ozaru transformation without the presence of a moon. Broly was able to do this because he frequently transformed into a great ape on Vampa. That is the reason Goku and Vegeta adopted a leaner physique as gods, while Broly increased his mass by utilizing his humanoid Ozaru form. One maintained the same energy in a smaller container, while the other retained the same container for a larger supply. Understood, we have a plan in place. Recognizing the path ahead, Naruto resolved to begin his efforts from the outset. He was a warrior from a lower class, lacking the training to utilize an artificial moon or to manage their Ozaru effectively. It was claimed that they were unable to achieve it, however, Naruto expressed skepticism. Throughout the series, Goku demonstrated the potential of low-class warriors effectively. If I require extensive training, then so be it. Naruto made the decision to transform into Ozaru. For the first time on this planet, he would reveal his Ozaru, the most formidable entity this planet has ever encountered. However, he would proceed cautiously and avert his gaze as soon as he sensed the onset of transformation, as he was determined to maintain his composure. No one would be able to intervene. Well, here we go. Naruto gazed at the sky, pondering a question. I wonder where the moon is located at this moment. In the meantime, a rather unpredictable Piccolo sneezed, contemplating whether Kami was once again speaking ill of him for the incident involving the destruction of the moon. He was innocent. Gohan was transforming into a great ape, and it was necessary to intervene in that situation. Naruto expressed his dissatisfaction and returned to slumber, recalling that Piccolo had apparently destroyed the moon due to Gohan's uncontrollable transformation. There is no benefit in lamenting past mistakes. However, given the extent of the damage sustained by the spaceship, he was uncertain about its capability to navigate space once more. While Naruto might attempt to address the issue, drawing on his experiences with the technicians from Frieza's army during the maintenance of his spacecraft, ensuring that every component functions correctly could prove to be quite challenging for him. I am not Dr. Briefs. I am unable to accomplish this. I can repair its shell and ensure it is capable of flight, but ensuring the navigation functions as well. I am unable to accommodate that request. Naruto murmured as he reclined, acknowledging that all his plans had failed, but not completely. While he found himself in a difficult situation, it also meant that Vegeta's potential destruction of the Earth would result in dire consequences for him as well. While Piccolo's destruction of the moon is certainly significant, it does not imply that Naruto would simply concede defeat. The revised strategy involves remaining in a mountainous area for an extended period, utilizing the cover of dense rocks or excavating an underground space, as this may effectively obscure the majority of my key signature. Dr. Gero developed a cell under specific conditions, correct? However, no one was able to perceive anything, even though the larva that originated from the cell should have surpassed typical animals significantly. Naruto wasn't sure if this would actually work, but hey, it was worth a try. If it didn't pan out, he could always just go ahead and take on everyone instead. No one was even near 1500 here on Earth, at least not yet, just a month after his defeat. Alright, let's just get some sleep. So, the moon is just this image my subconscious needs. Broly could transform into a great ape whenever he wanted, even inside buildings. This really showed that he could train for that transformation. This is definitely like the anger that comes with a Super Saiyan transformation. But the cool part is, as you keep practicing and improving, you'll be able to trigger it whenever you want. Z's. Asterisk. In just a few more minutes, Naruto drifted off to sleep. He worked hard all day long, so he definitely deserved a break. The night got darker, and before we knew it, hours had slipped by. A bird call stirred Naruto from his sleep, and as he peeked outside the cave, he spotted some birds chirping away and splashing around in the water on the rocky surface. Is it really that time already? With a big yawn and his arms stretched high, Naruto rubbed his eyes and gave his body a little twist to get himself all fired up. He got up from his straw bed and headed outside. When he saw him come out, the birds took off in a hurry. Naruto gave a wry smile and decided it was time to freshen up too. Splash. Asterisk. After about half an hour, he took care of his daily needs. He even cleaned his armor because, you know, you've got to keep what protects you in good shape. Plus, he stumbled upon something pretty neat. He could boost his armor's durability by infusing it with his ki. He recently figured that out, which helped him understand why Vegeta could use the same armor again later in the Saiyan saga, even after losing it, and still take hits from stronger enemies. That's pretty cool. The Frieza army really does have some neat tech. I'm thinking about diving into that too. Do you think I should hit up Dr. Briefs for some help? Or should it be Dr. Omori? Could it be Dr. Gero? Naruto thought about it for a moment, but decided to let it go for now. Dr. Gero has been pretty hard to pin down ever since the Red Ribbon Army went down. Meanwhile, Dr. Briefs has Bulma by his side, and she's got the Z fighters ready to jump in whenever. Naruto's really hoping to steer clear of all that if he can. So, that brings us to Dr. Omori, who was definitely the most intimidating of the group. And guess what? He had someone from the underwear family with him too. Bulma's sister, Tight, was hanging out on his island. And that's not all. This guy is the first person ever to make a time machine. Sure, it broke, but it can still stop time just fine. Naruto felt uncertain about facing a pause in reality. This wasn't like Goldo's time stop. It was something much bigger, a complete halt of the universe itself. And Tights has connections with the Galactic Patrol. They're just a call away for her. Yeah, I really don't think that's a good idea. So, let's steer clear of anywhere near East City. He made a choice to stop worrying about future tech and focused on practicing ozaru. That was all he felt he could do for now. So, he had this idea on how to kick things off, thinking that if Krillin's shiny bald head caught the sunlight just right, it might trigger Goku's mind to link it with the moon. I can probably check out the sun's reflection on the water. If I squint a bit, it should be okay, right? Naruto plopped down on the ground, taking a moment to chill out and just breathe in and out. He was getting ready to manage the fury of ozaru. It was crucial for him to keep his emotions in check. Alright, let's give this a shot. As he gazed at the sun's reflection shimmering on the clear water, he held off on squinting. He wanted to keep distractions to a minimum. So he just stayed there, super still, waiting patiently. Naruto stayed put, even as the birds started to return to him. He had been sitting there, soaking in the surroundings and connecting with nature for quite some time. The birds seemed to feel it as well, settling on his strong mane, hopping onto his shoulders, and some even snuggling deep into his hair for a bit of shelter. Sure, it was a breeze for him since he had mastered sage mode in his past life, and meditation really became his thing. That's why I can concentrate like this. He was in a weird place, kind of one with nature. This wasn't the original Reddits. Naruto wasn't feeling the negative vibes that the original had. He had a ton of pure ki, and right now, his session was perfectly syncing him up with nature. If he got a bit tired, he might even be able to pull off the spirit ball. He definitely had the qualifications for it now. Thump. A loud heartbeat echoed within Naruto, then it suddenly went quiet, like the calm before a storm. But Naruto heard it loud and clear. He could really feel it. This was the sign that the ozaru transformation was about to happen. He was beginning to link that image with the moon, a really bright one at that. The birds got a bit spooked and started hopping around Naruto. The ones that had been nestled in his mane popped out to see what was going on. Naruto could feel it coming. He knew he was on the verge of transforming. It was tough to hold on to his conscious thoughts, but deep down, he still felt very much like himself. He just shut his eyes, relying on nothing but his sheer willpower. Thump. With one final loud heartbeat, his unease faded away. He wasn't going ozaru anymore, and even the birds seemed to sense it. They bounced around him, chirping away with joy. "Everyone, I'm really trying to focus right now. I guess that's how it goes," Naruto said with a wry smile, raising his hand and pointing his finger up in the air. No way, he wasn't going to blast the birds with a death beam. A bird noticed the signal, hopped onto his finger, and began to groom itself. Naruto smiled with relief as he waited for something to happen. In the meantime, he figured out how to sense ki. Exactly, he was just trying to get a sense of his body while being careful not to hurt the birds. This had a weird effect on him. Before he could even pick up on an opponent's power, he started to feel the ki of nature. It's all around us. No surprise that Goku's spirit ball packs such a punch. Just look at the grass, the mountains, the rivers, everything is filled with this amazing, pure ki. It's truly wonderful. He got why the spirit ball had such a huge impact on an evil being. That pure ki was definitely going to wipe out any corrupt ki. You know, I think this state might just help me hold on to my sanity in ozaru sooner rather than later, murmured Naruto, trying to refocus on what he was doing. This wasn't just a quick fix, he knew he had to put in the effort. With the sun shining down and noon approaching, Naruto was just chilling by the waterfall, his figure standing tall over his makeshift home. Why is that? He wasn't just your average Saiyan warrior anymore, he had leveled up and become the legendary one. Awesome. Monkey. The ozaru is the most basic form of every Saiyan, a great ape that embodies calmness and peace. There's no hint of malice, just a serene aura that connects with nature in a harmonious way. Flutter. A big bunch of pterosaurs were flying around the armored ozaru, looking as small as the birds used to be. But neither of these huge creatures did much more than flutter around him, settle on him, or keep watch over his body from any and all dangers. Nature was doing its thing. Naruto had been training his great ape for a whole month, and now he was a regular part of the ecosystem. The local animals had gotten used to him being around. Squeak. Asterisk. A sharp cry from a pterosaur rang out in the area, signaling that the king beast was about to wake up. Ugh! So frustrating. A low nasal growl rumbled from the great ape's throat as its eyelids lifted, revealing completely red eyes. Yet, there was no hint of malice in its gaze. What's going on? Are you coming together around me? The great ape spoke in a gruff voice, but there was an even more powerful, beastly vibe that came with his presence. Squeak. Asterisk. A group of pterosaurs started squeaking and making all sorts of noises, flapping their limbs and wings. Naruto just watched and nodded a few times, just to be sure. Oh, I get it, it's been 5 days. Thanks for waking me up. I'm not really feeling hungry, but I guess we've got to get things done. Squeak. Asterisk. Naruto was chatting with the pterosaurs like it was just another normal day, and honestly, it really was. He really felt in sync with nature, which helped him connect with plants, animals, and the environment. Being in his current beastly state gave him insights that only a beast could truly grasp. The title of King of the Beasts belonged to him in this forest. He ruled over the animals, and his presence brought both safety and leadership. It just made sense. He was the strongest yet gentlest of all the beasts. Bring it over here. I should be at my best right now, so everyone, go ahead and hit my tail with everything you've got like always. Vegeta and Nappa managed to overcome their tail's weakness, and I can do the same. Naruto called on the pterosaurs, and they jumped into action right away. As he settled into his role as the king of the beasts, he found himself a bit puzzled about what the animals were trying to say. He really accomplished a lot this month. Being a Saiyan, he has a natural talent for ki-related stuff, it's just in his genes. After watching for several weeks, he finally figured out how animals and nature behaved just by sensing their ki. That meant he could now do what Goku could do. He placed his hand on someone's head and could sense their memories, current thoughts, and even any malice that lingered there. Stab, slash, tear. So, The pterosaurs were trying to rip his tail to shreds, right? But guess what? They couldn't even touch a single hair on it. All it did was help him build his resistance, which was exactly what he was aiming for. Shred. Right now, he was always at full power, keeping all his ki locked inside him so he could stay at 100% without getting tired. So, conserving life energy like this is why the gods could snooze for centuries without needing to eat. Naruto might not have that compressed ki, but he found a way to keep whatever energy he had locked away inside him. Flutter. The pterosaurs returned at last, bringing along a big herbivore, and laid it down in front of their king ape. He opened his mouth wide, and you could see a whitish-blue energy starting to gather in his throat. He fired his patent ozaru mouth cannon, and it was something every ozaru just knew instinctively. Even a baby ozaru could pull it off. You know, Naruto always mentioned that ki is woven into every fiber of a saiyan. If he were human, he probably thinks it would have taken him way longer to figure it all out. The mouth cannon was a unique low-power version, and its control was spot on. Naruto was able to burn away the non-edible parts while cooking the edible ones at just the right temperature. It's little things like this that build up ki control. Even without this body's memories, it's possible to learn ki quickly. Saiyans are too good with it. When Naruto took over, this body was dead, and the original Reddits was long gone, so whatever memories he had were solely biological. When his spirit resurrected the body, he automatically received the prior memories stored in its brain. Okay, it's done, time to eat. Naruto began chowing down after picking up the sizzling steak, which was about half the size of his body. When a Saiyan transforms into Ozaru and then back again, they lose a lot of power. Naruto had experienced this as well, but he knew the core cause. My body expends 10 times my maximum energy, grows big then shrinks back down. All the mass I gain is lost, so is the ki making up that mass. This is what leaves me dead tired. That's why Naruto chose to do something different this time. He remained as an Ozaru and did not change back. This was an inconceivable achievement for an ordinary Saiyan because they not only revert back without a moon, but few can retain their brains as clear as Ozaru. Anyone doing this would die from overexertion, yet Naruto avoided that mistake by cleverness. Every Ozaru when freshly transformed aren't at their best. Now that I have eaten and rested as an Ozaru, the 10 times energy I had to forcibly expel is restored. This is what Naruto has been doing all along. Even if he reverted right now, he would simply lose the tenfold boost, and his base would not be exhausted in the least. His body has long since absorbed nutrition and returned to peak condition. And this had an astounding effect on him, as only Goku would have done if he had lost the God energy boost versus Beerus. Just like Goku's body had adapted to the new boost in power and made it his own, my body is doing the same. Naruto had accomplished something no other Saiyan had ever done. He had remained a conscious Ozaru for an extended period of time, fully mastering his present power. He ate and slept like an Ozaru. He was the Ozaru. He was no longer a forced metamorphosis, and he was completely in touch with his ki. This let my body adapt to its current power level of 15,000. Now as long as I transform back, my weak base would find itself severely lacking. Naruto smirked and took delight in his first power-up. Given enough time, my body would attempt to make up its lacking ki by itself, trying to push me back to what I am used to, just like Goku's body did after it got used to his power jump as a god. And this is what would propel Naruto all the way up to 15,000 in base. After all, to his body, he had that strength for a long time, and it was not a forced increase, but rather his natural condition. This would place him just below Vegeta at 18,000, which was good enough for him. He had at least discovered a route ahead, a unique road made by combining Broly's Ozaru path with Goku's God path. It was the next day, and Naruto's progress had already begun. The incessant scouter beeps were the greatest evidence of his transformation. Beep. 1600, so a boost of 100. Naruto mumbled as he read over the scouter data. This is when I purposely didn't train myself yesterday, so if I take this as my default and then deliberately push myself, my energy should rise sooner. Naruto just used the scouter to verify his current power level in finer detail. He had already felt it. and if he does nothing else in the next several months, he will achieve his current maximum. But Naruto wasn't interested in training today. He had devised a broad strategy for himself during the previous 2 months. He was a Saiyan, and his people traded planets for a career, so living in the wild was nothing new for him, since they never fully remained in one location for long. Even our original homes in planet Vegeta were left to eat dust. That was the case for majority of the Saiyans. Naruto murmured, having given it much thought, he would ultimately have to return to Earth for a variety of reasons. If Beerus finds Naruto lacking, he may just shoot him into space dust. And I can't leave now either. I am stuck here, might even need to show myself before the Z-Fighters later, if only to make sure the planet isn't blown to bits by Vegeta, taking me out as well. Earth was surely a place where everything goes to trash, even Majin Buu was buried there. But, if you were wise, it was also the safest spot in the cosmos, since the Z-Fighters could always revive you. Will the Z-Fighters resuscitate you if you were merely a person from another planet? Of course not, but if you were one of their own, they would go through space and time to save you. So, if I'm going to settle here ultimately, why would I live like a caveman? It would be okay if this was one of the planets I planned to sell, but it is not. Naruto narrowed his brows. He wasn't so focused on martial arts that he didn't understand the concept of quality of life. And he knew several methods to achieve that quality of life, including paying a personal visit to Mr. Satan. World Wrestling Champion, he had something to say about the title. He is a lucky guy, but his luck seems to be running low, or he wouldn't be the first on my list. Naruto chuckled an uncanny laugh. Mr. Satan, the largest con artist in the Dragon Ball world, even Monaka can't stand up to his force. And this largest con guy was notoriously frightened of people like Naruto. After his master was murdered in cold blood and left to die by mercenary Dao, he vowed never to confront crazily powerful people again. Android 18 even blackmailed him for a significant sum of money, all because he didn't want to fight anybody out of the norm. Mark, alias Mr. Satan, I'm coming for you. Ha 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 ha. Quote. Naruto chuckled loudly and exited the cave mansion. Satan's whole career was based on his ability to bullshit his way to the top. He claimed credit for things he didn't achieve, pulled every PR trick he could think of, and was a master of staged events. Satan made a fortune peddling Satan-branded items. The man even won the title of World Wrestling Champion before, beating Cell, and he milked that title for every penny. Having someone like that working for him would provide enormous benefits to Naruto. Whoosh. Flying towards the South City, Naruto began to listen for any mention of Satan Dojo, Mr. Satan, or anything in between. Naruto passed through several villages before arriving in South City. Tap. As he flew down, he opted to walk since he didn't want to make the headlines so quickly after being captured while flying about. That would be more bother than it was worth, and he couldn't tell his future manager he was coming for him. He appeared out of place in the city when walking on foot, with his armor, ornamental fur, and long spiky mane. Pal, you new here? As Naruto walked towards the city, a man on a bike smoking a cigarette questioned him. I am. You wouldn't know where to find Mr. Satan now, would you? The man did not respond, instead taking a sip of his cigarette and casually pulling a revolver from each of his pockets. I do know, but if you don't give me all your stuff right now, I might just give you a one-time ticket to see a different kind of Satan. Naruto smiled softly, sensing the man's intent to hurt him the instant he was called out. But why fight when he may join? Ha ha ha. Good guns, but you aren't the only one packing that heat. Check out these guns. Naruto flexed his outrageously powerful arms to emphasize his point, while the guy only twitched his lips. Listen here, jackass, you don't understand. No, it's you who doesn't understand. Allow me to demonstrate. Tap, tap, don't come here, I will shoot. Tap, tap, I said don't come here. I'll really shoot. Tap, bang, no. Is that my bullet? You got the bullet. Keep away from me. Ah, mercy mercy. Ah, no. Quote, that's not possible. Humans do not bend that way. How are you doing this? No. Quote, people going through the outskirts of the city had no idea what these noises were about. But they did see one thing. Two guys riding a bike towards the Saiyan manor. One had a long spiky hair and a crazy sneer, while the other appeared to be shaking, maybe from a cold. Everyone assumed they were admirers as well, and left it at that. It would be later, after Naruto had already become famous, that they would recall meeting him that day, regretting not asking for an autograph. Scale's head was in tatters, and he was doing his regular day job of robbing hillbillies, carrying bundles of money for a guy with a pistol. So, what the heck is this? Why is such a monster pushing into me? Scale shook behind his helmet, thinking that today was not going well for him. Calling someone monster in their presence is a bad idea, especially if they are a monster. Did nobody teach you basic manners, Mr. Scale? Naruto's unexpected voice cut short Scale's mental monologue, and he was unconsciously ready to accept his error. Sorry, dude, I did not call you a monster. I didn't say anything. Scale's head was beginning to sweat bullets, and he realized something. He could have made a huge mistake here. Didn't you say something out loud? Is that it? Naruto's hand rested on Scale's shoulder, giving it a small squeeze, but Scale felt no encouragement from it, only terror. Ha ha ha, I'm not sure what you mean, big brother, stop kidding me, ha ha. Scale sought to play it off as he rode his bike around South City. He desperately wanted this guy to be kidding, otherwise, he was doing exactly what Scale believed he was doing. Then you would be toast, yes, and before you make a mistake, Mr. Scale, selling out my news isn't going to be nearly as profitable as you think. Scale was shaking, and his teeth chattered behind his helmet. He just drove because he was afraid to slow down. He didn't mind Naruto's fingers pinching his shoulder. He was up against either a god or a demon. That sounds just right, especially since I'm visiting Satan after all. Ha ha ha. Naruto's loud, boisterous laugh was the last straw that drove Scale over the edge. He shook a little and started to cry. Come on, big bro, just let me go. Oops, that was my bad. I really shouldn't have tried to rob you. Just let me know what you need, and I'm on it, my friend. Quote. Scale lived by robbing people, and he really knew what to do when someone was about to take him out in one shot. There's no way he could be a fool. If he were, he wouldn't have made it this far in the tough world of South City. Oh, an apology. Scale picked up on Naruto's tone right away and got it. There it was, the thing that would save him. Absolutely. I'm really sorry. Sure thing, big brother. Whatever you need. Quote. Naruto rubbed his chin, thinking about his upcoming visit to Satan's house. He figured he didn't need anything material, but hey, it's always nice to have some connections, right? Oh, so an apology is what you can offer me, huh? Naruto wondered what Scale could even offer him. He could pretty much take whatever he wanted. He was, in every way that mattered, beyond what people here considered common sense. All Naruto wanted from this guy was to take him to Satan Manor, nothing more. Maybe being an information agent is more his style. I need some info here. Since you were about to sell mine, I think you get the kind of information I'm looking for. Scale's eyes widened immediately, not out of fear but pure excitement. This was his only job besides the robbery gig. He sold information and spent all day standing around, which really helped him keep an eye on everything happening around him. You got it, big bro. Just let me know what you need, and I'll have you sorted out in no time. Scale mentioned that this was his line of business, so he feels pretty confident about it. As they rounded a sharp corner, they started to come into a space filled with trees that had been planted by people. This place was all about the wealthy. It felt like Satan himself was right at home here. I'll trust you on this one. I'm looking for info on a guy named Mercenary Dao. Just be cautious. He's not exactly the gentle type like I am. To you, we might seem equally monstrous. Scale gulped. Well, he probably should have seen this coming. I mean, why would a guy like him be interested in just ordinary folks? So, this mercenary dude must have some sort of rivalry going on with him, right? Like, a clash between two equally powerful monsters. So, Scale was feeling a mix of excitement and a bit of fear all at once. I'll take care of it, big bro, but I just want to be careful, so it might take a little time. He mentioned scale, and honestly, who would even think about dipping? He just got himself a gig as the personal informant for a godlike being. Wasn't this just about making sure he was safe and sound with Naruto having his back? He just welcomed his first child and is really hoping for a safe and secure life for them, if that's possible. He had a mom who was a fortune teller, and she always told him he'd hit it big someday. Maybe this was finally his moment, his shot at success. Oh, a backer, huh? Sure, you can use my name, but it might not really help much. You know what, I'll give you something instead, said Naruto, and he was right on time. They had just arrived at the Saiyan mansion, which was massive and had a bunch of guards around it. They decided to park a little further away, just out of earshot. Took. Scale put his bike on standby and glanced over at Naruto, curious to see what someone like him would bring to the table. Naruto was feeling around, standing under the cover of trees, and thankfully, no one was looking their way. Well, it was finally time to put his theory to the test. I've got something that could really elevate you above the rest. But just a heads up, if you decide to take it, you'll be my messenger for life, and I'll always know where to find you, no matter where you are. Scale took a deep breath, caught between the idea of becoming a godlike being but always having to answer to someone, and the familiar life he knew, which came with its own uncertainties about safety. Is this something we should think about? Actually, it wasn't. Bless me, Mama, I'm all set, my lord. Turn your messenger into an angel. Naruto rolled his eyes. It feels like exaggeration is everywhere. Alright, let's see if his theory actually works out. He held his palm out in front of him and made a motion like he was grabbing an invisible ball. For a few seconds, nothing happened, but then Scale started to feel it. The surroundings were shifting. A gust of wind blew, and Scale felt something strange, like this breeze was meant for his big brother. Wow, that's crazy. How does that even happen? Spark. Scale's eyes widened in surprise. What was going on here? What's going on here? Is that? Scale was left speechless, but Naruto was too focused to notice. He was busy trying to create his very first spirit ball. Sure, this might not be the exact technique he was looking for. He wasn't quite sure how to pull it off, but he did know how to create a ki blast and had figured out how to tap into nature energy. He used that energy to make a ki blast, which was his take on the spirit ball. Scale, check this out. What you're looking at is the energy of this whole artificial forest. After summoning all the extra ki that nature could provide without causing any harm, Naruto came to a halt. He was holding a ball about 10 centimeters in diameter, a white glowing orb of energy. With a gesture, Naruto pointed his hand at Scale's chest. So, this is like a kind of formless energy, where the energies of multiple beings come together seamlessly in this little ball. So, since Scale is part of nature too, it should be able to accept this ki. Goku gathered formless energy from everything around him, every creature, every mountain, every river. It was interesting how nothing rejected or cancelled anything else out. So, this should do the trick. It wasn't super helpful for Naruto since he was already stronger than what he could summon, but for those who aren't quite at his level, this could really make a difference. Wait, can I really do this? Naruto kept quiet after that. He just shoved it into the guy's chest. And it went in easily. Scale widened his eyes, wondering what this feeling was. He felt so powerful. It worked. The rate at which it's evaporating is really slow too. This formless energy is found in rocks and rivers as well. If their inherent ki could just evaporate like that, everything would have turned to dust ages ago. Just scale it down a bit, pull on that heat you're feeling, and focus on the ground. Imagine it like you're using a laser as you go. Scale took a deep breath but followed the instructions. He focused and pulled on the energy, just like he would with his pointer finger. Naruto grinned as he looked at the charred hole in the ground. The energy had gone right through it. This type of ki is super easy to manage since it's the energy doing the work for you. After all, it was summoned by Naruto to lend a hand. Is that you, big brother? What have I turned into? So, am I a superhero now? A supervillain, huh? Naruto grinned as he gazed at the Saiyan manor. Supervillain. Superhero. Huh, well, it could go either way. With a friendly pat on Scale's shoulder, Naruto started making his way toward the Saiyan manor. As he walked, his words drifted over to Scale. Just a heads up, this isn't about wasting energy. You've got a limit on what you can carry, and it's really just a safety net to keep you from getting hurt. So, let's not do anything reckless, okay? Scale nodded. He understood this simple truth. A guy like him could turn himself into a superhuman, and then he could do the same for others. He'd much prefer to follow instructions, as that would help him hold on to his awesome new superpowers. Oh, hey big brother. I forgot to mention, meeting up with Satan right now could be tricky. His wife is really sick, and he hardly leaves his house these days. Naruto paused for a moment, then just walked away without saying a word. No place on Earth can keep a Saiyan from coming in. So, I guess the hyperbolic time chamber could keep him from coming out, but that's about it. Satan, looks like it's time for you to face your fate a bit early. I've got a solid plan to make it big, even without those Cell games. Shout out to his pals Vegeta and Nappa. Naruto squinted a bit as he headed toward Satan's villa, his long hair starting to float and almost defy gravity as he got closer. Mark sipped his wine while gazing out the window. He kept getting calls about promotions, but for the first time ever, he just wasn't feeling up to going out. He needed to stay strong, to make sure Vital didn't end up like him, caught up in the fame game. Thump. Mark glanced outside, frowning as he heard a thump, nearly crushing the glass in his hand. What's up? Thump. A guy with a wild vibe was heading toward his front door. So, what about those thumping sounds? What's going on? The guards are going down. Wait, did he actually poison them? Absolutely, that's got to be it. It's a trick. Mark's hands were trembling, because no matter how hard he tried to convince himself, he couldn't help but notice the exaggerated muscles on that hulking figure. Looks like he might have gotten into it with one of them again. Oh no, Mark's legs were frozen, and he wasn't feeling too confident about it all. He really didn't want to face this hunk of muscle. Wow, that's a big one. He quickly ran up to the wardrobe and opened a hidden compartment. Where is it? Where is it? Absolutely, I've got it. Mark pulled his modified gun out of the cupboard and felt a bit of his courage returning. Bang, asterisk. But all of that quickly flew out the window when a loud bang rattled his door. Bang, asterisk. His heart raced as his legs turned to jelly. Oh no, he was here. Crack. The door handle cracked as a hand squeezed in, searching for the lock while wiggling a bit. Mark quickly aimed his trusty gun at the door without wasting any time. Click. The door finally swung open, clearly fed up with all the banging on it. Who's there? Mark really needed to pull himself together now, or things were going to get serious. He quickly straightened himself out, trying to hide his trembling legs with those baggy pants. So, who are you, young man? A fan of mine. Mark was gone, and now it was Mr. Satan facing the beast. I've got this. I'm Mr. Satan. He might not be one of them. It's probably just a trick. But the man, almost playfully, smirked as he swung the door wide open and stepped inside. I'm a bit worried I might be one of them, Mark. Should I start calling you Mr. Satan now? Click. As he cracked his knuckles, he glanced over at the sweating Mr. Satan. Are you the world champion? I've got a few concerns about that, so let's work through them together. Naruto began to make his way inside, and at that moment, Satan realized he had really gotten himself into trouble with one of those monsters again. Don't come here, I'm bringing some serious fire. Haha, that's hilarious. The guy's loud laugh wasn't doing Satan any favors, and it definitely wasn't helping his aim either. His hand was shaking all over the place. Bang, asterisk. He just went ahead and shot without any more warning. Oh, I must have missed that. Yeah, I definitely must have missed it. Satan's stance faltered, but the man kept moving forward, with no bullet in sight. Wow, that was loud. No way, that's a trick. Looks like you brought an extra bullet. It's a little trick. Satan was pressed against the wall while Naruto casually spat out the bullet he had caught with his teeth. Naruto stood there in front of Satan, and with his shaking hands, he just took the gun for himself. Wow, that's a serious piece you've got there. He clicked it open and pulled out every bullet. It seems really high quality. Are you up for giving it a shot? Satan. No, I really don't. Satan shook his head quickly, and Naruto squinted his eyes in response. Oh, it's a shame to let these go to waste. With Satan watching, eyes wide and mouth hanging open, Naruto took the bullets and stuffed them all in his mouth. Chew. They started chewing like it was candy, keeping eye contact the whole time. With every clink and clank, you could see Satan's sanity slipping away. So, it finally happened. Wow, that was loud. Satan noticed it. He could have sworn he saw the man's eyes narrow while his cheeks seemed to glow from within. Definitely some top-notch stuff. Spit. He let the used-up bits fall from his mouth, dropping them one by one. Clink clank. Satan was just about to grab the man's legs and start begging, but then everything changed when he heard a voice. Honey, who is it? Sweetie, don't come in here. Satan felt his heart skip a beat when he saw a weary woman step out. She clearly had a high fever, yet she still managed to wear a gentle expression for him. Wow, oh, I had no idea we had a guest. I'm really sorry if I came off as rude. Naruto glanced over at the woman. She looked just like Vital, only with longer hair. But she had that gentle nature that Vital showed after giving birth to Pan. You seem to be putting on a brave face, but why ask if you witnessed everything unfold? Said Naruto with a light tone. The woman pursed her lips, her thin fingers gripping the hem of her robe. Yeah, she saw it all go down, but she just couldn't stay put. If she didn't act, her loved one was in serious danger. I'm really sorry for anything that Satan put you through. I truly am. No, honey. Satan nearly lost it when he saw his sick wife trying to bow down. She was the only one who really got what he was all about, so she immediately figured this had to be all Satan's doing. Hold on to it. Naruto let out a sigh and gently stopped the woman from bowing. He was just here for Satan, plain and simple. Why don't you both just take a seat? Naruto said as he lifted his hand, and they both started to float up, feeling a gentle force supporting them. As he walked over to the couch, he placed them down side by side, trying not to gulp as Naruto settled into the main seat. Satan, before you went ahead and claimed that champion title for yourself, did you happen to remember this? Naruto was wagging his tail playfully while Satan was deep in thought, trying to jog his memory. Brain, let's get those gears turning. I found a really great opportunity for you. Make sure it doesn't go to waste. Stay tuned. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this video. I'm thrilled you watched the video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe for even more exciting content coming your way soon.